have you falsely accused of a crime that you had nothing to do with?
I didn't say that I didn't have anything to do with it. I just did not know that people were going to die that day. I went to do a drug buy and an argument jumped off and then things progressed.
Okay. Could you tell us about the drug deal?
Well, before all of this happened, I lived with my parents, and my parents were fighting every day, and there was a lot of abuse in our home, and it was getting so um, horrible that I just couldn't stay there anymore. So when I was like um, around 16, I left home. Um, I went to a friend's house, and she told me that I could stay with her, and she stayed with her brother and her father. But after being there one day, she came and woke me up and told me to hurry up and leave, that she heard her brother saying that he was going to pimp me. So I got my stuff and I left because I refused to be a prostitute. So when I left, I had like less than $100 in my pocket, and I met a boy who was selling crack on the street, and he says that if I gave him $90, he would give me a 8 ball, and I could sell it and make $200. So I was like, okay. So I gave him the money, and he showed me how to sell crack. And then from there, um, we were staying at the place that he was selling drugs out of. And so I saved my money, and he showed me how much an ounce went for. So I bought an ounce for $700. And then I went from an ounce to a big ace. And so at the time it was 2,800, and I was kind of like, just on my own, trying to live, where I could, or in a motel or whatever. And so I met a guy from Mount Clemens, and he asked me did I know where to get a kilo from. So the guy that was selling us drugs, he sold all kinds of weight, and he liked me. So I asked him, I said, how much is a kilo going for? He said 17.5, but for you, I give it to you for 16.5. So I was like, okay. So I told the guy from Mount Clemens, because he didn't have a connection in Mount Clemens or Detroit, and he said they were 19.5 where he was from. So I told him it was 19.5 so I could pocket $3,000, and that would help, me out. So I did that, and I took his money, and I went to the drug house, and I copped his kilo, and I came back. I gave it to him. I pocketed $3,000. So after doing that a few times, I had a reputation that I had the keys, but really I was just a middleman. And so a lot of people from Muskegon and Flint and Saginaw was getting in contact with me. So at probably around 89, the end of 89, that's when I had enough money to buy my own. So I told my co-defendants, who was my childhood friends, we grew up on the same street. We all were like family because my brother was married to one of my co-defendants' aunts. So I told them, if they can put their money together and come up with it, I could help them. So they did. One of my co-defendants was fooling around with this girl who had started using drugs. She had told him that she needed $300 for an abortion, and so he did not want her to get an abortion. So she ran off, and she was on the east side, and she was on St. Aubin. Um, I'm just gonna be honest. She was turning tricks and doing whatever she could with the dope man at the dope house. So one day when I went over there and I saw her, I told him where she was at. I said, she's over there. You know, your girlfriend is over there. So when we got there to cop his stuff, he was supposed to stay outside. And he told me go in there and tell her to come outside. When I went and told her to come outside, she refused to come out. So the guy had two other customers there, and he told me that I had to wait. So I went and sat back in the car, and their car was parked behind ours, my other co-defendant. The driver had brought them over. So I got in the car, and I told him that she wasn't coming out. So the next time when I went, after I saw the other two guys come out, I went inside to make the buy, and my co-defendant came and knocked on the door, and because the doorman know him to be my friend and my, family member, he opened the door and let him in. And when he let him in, he said, he told her to get up and let's go. And it was being conducted at the dining room table. So at first nobody noticed that he was trying to get her out the house. And when she started making the commotion, that's when the proprietor, Steve, stopped what he was doing and was like, what's going on? And he was like, you got to get up out of here. And he was like, oh man, you don't run nothing in here. She ain't got to go nowhere. And when he said that, my co-defendant pulled out his gun, and he was like, I'm running this. And I asked him, I said, why you pull out your gun? I said, he a killer. I heard he killed another guy that we know. And he said, I'm a killer too. So at that point, I figured I better get out of here. I didn't really trust anybody with my life. So instead of me trying to talk them out of it, I chose to just put myself first. And I'm going to be honest, I just was like, I'm out of here. So I grabbed 2 keys off the table. I put them in my bag, and I walked out. I told my co-defendant to drive, and he said that my other co-defendant said, don't leave. And that's when my other co-defendant ran in the house, and I made him drive anyway. So he drove off. And before I left, I tried to get her to leave, though. I told her, I said, get up and go, let's go. And she was like, I ain't going nowhere. And I said, well, go hide somewhere, because it's about to go down. And she said, okay. And she got up, and she went towards this door. But I left out. I didn't see where she went. And so when the police came, she told the police the truth. She told them, there was a police guy that came, and she told him the first statement that she gave was the truth, that, this argument jumped off or whatever. And when I left, I told her to leave, and she wouldn't, and I told her to go hide. But after she got down to the police station and they threatened her, she started telling them that I pushed her, I robbed her. I mean, this girl had nothing to rob her for. She was a crackhead. There was nothing that I could have robbed her for, even if I did want to rob somebody. So she fabricated her story because they asked her the same question they asked me at homicide. The homicide detective asked me, did I want to be a witness or a defendant? And I told him that I didn't trust him. And they attacked me, and they abused me. They beat me up for like 2 days straight. Sergeant, she kicked me in my stomach. I asked them for a lawyer. She wouldn't give me one. She never stopped questioning me. She took a pen after I had been hungry and starving, and in a closet with a prisoner named Monica Mitchell. We were in the closet. Monica was a drug addict, and she had threw up on herself and peed on herself. They had jumped her as well. And so after I had been in that state for so long, she came in there with an ink pen and put it in my hand. I guess she assumed that I was right-handed, but I'm left-handed. And she put a pen in my hand, and she told me what to write. And when I didn't write it, she slammed my head down on the table. She told me my coach...
You have 1 minute remaining.
She told me my co-defendant had written a statement on me and that I was going to go down by myself and that he said that I had killed these people. So she started writing what she wanted to write and verbally asking me questions. I did answer some of their questions, like how did this car get something in the car. You know, my co-defendants brought something and put it in the car, and it was in my other co-defendant car. And when he dropped me off, he refused to take the stuff. So he just threw the stuff out, and it was like one shoe and some some jeans or something, and a jacket or something. So my uncle lived in Southfield, on like between 7 and 8 miles on Lasher Road, and there was like a lot of white people in that neighborhood, and I don't want to cause no scene because I was staying with my uncle at that time. So I just picked the stuff up and took it in my house. I didn't want it on the line. People.
Thank you for using GTL.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of days later, they came and got me and took me, to I guess 1300 Aubin from homicide.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I went to Wayne County Jail, and I've been locked up ever since.
Okay. Now let me ask you: your co-defendants that you speak of, Mark Bell and Jamal Biggs.
Yes.
Okay, and what's his name? Mark Kason. He was the driver, and he stayed in the car.
I want to be clear about Mark Kason.
Yes.
I feel sorry for Mark Kason. Mark Kason had absolutely nothing to do with this. Mark Kason didn't even know where he was going. He just thought he was giving, somebody a ride over there. He didn't know he didn't even know he was going to do a drug buy. He didn't know anything. He was just told, drive us over here. He didn't know anything. So, when stuff started, they was bringing stuff out to his car or whatever, he still, it was unbeknownst to him. But he ended up signing a plea bargain, and this boy was a virgin when he went to prison. And I heard he was raped constantly and robbed. And I feel horrible about that. And every day I think about that, it bothers me because I tried to tell them that boy didn't have nothing to do with it. They didn't listen. He just wanted to hang out with the in crowd.
Wow. And just hanging out with the in crowd. He was young and he didn't know any better because I've read that you did inform the police that he was not involved. He didn't have no knowledge what was going on.
None whatsoever.
And they still trapped him into taking a plea bargain.
Yes, they did, because he said that he heard one of them say something about hitting a lick, and he didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, it's like when I was started, more into reading your story and doing my research on him, because I was familiar with it when it first happened. And I always thought that you were innocent and was being railroaded. It just didn't, a lot of the stuff didn't make any sense from what I was reading and what the news media was putting out. So I'm
never going to say that, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm never going to try to, sugarcoat what happened. When he told me basically that he was going to kill them, I took what I wanted and I left. I didn't even pay for my key that day because I figured basically you just said you were a killer. And nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. That's not in the record. But at this point, what's the use of lying? I'm not going to lie about it.
Right. Now, okay, when you say he, are you referring to Mark Bell? Because from the research I've done, Mark Bell, he was the one that was in there doing all the shooting and all of the killing. Oh,
yes.
Okay. Now, I did reach out to Mark Bell, and he did not respond back to not one letter or one email.
Well, Mark Bell also has another murder case that's not this one that he got found guilty of. So, his hopes is not very high for ever getting out.
Yeah, I read where he committed another murder. He was, and only got I think it was $1 or $4 in that murder. That was his share of the robbery. $4, I believe it was $4.
Yeah, I wasn't really. I don't know what happened. I just heard that from one of my lawyers,
No,
so I really don't know what happened.
I read the transcripts on it, and I read his appeal papers on it, and from everybody that testified in that case on him, that's what it was. His take was $4 out of that, his share. Now,
That's sad.
it is. Now, my understanding is okay. Now, the juvenile, the woman was not a juvenile. This young lady that was there, from what I gathered from doing a little research from people, they said her name was, hold on, don't, Tiara.
Her name was Tamelia Goodwin.
Tanelia or Tiara?
Tamelia Goodwin.
Tamelia Goodwin. Okay.
Yes.
Now they say Tamelia looked like she looked like a kid, and Mark told her to hide.
No, all of that is fabricated.
Okay.
Mark didn't want to do nothing to her because he had been messing with her.
Okay, but
Mark knew exactly what was going on.
Okay, yeah, this is the lie that she told.
Yeah,
okay.
Because she didn't want to admit that she was messing around with him and that she had lied about being pregnant. That's why somewhere in the record it says that she said she was pregnant.
Okay. Wow.
She didn't want to admit to that.
Right. Now.
She knows she wasn't very honest during this.
Not at all. Because, it just, like I said, a lot of stuff
and
didn't make sense.
She was running around helping them look for money and guns. My co-defendant told me when we were in the county jail, we were on our way to court, and Jamal told me what she was doing. He was like, we locked up and she ain't. She was helping us.
Okay.
I said, she was helping y'all. He said, yeah. I was like, wow.
Now, I did read that before the shooting, you were long gone in another car.
I was.
And then,
the boy that jumped on Jamal, that got up off the floor and started fighting, his name was Craig LaReese. He would tell you that I wasn't there. They asked him, was I there? He was there in the house with the other people. He said no. Okay. He said the first time he saw me was in the newspaper and on the news.
Right.
Because I left.
Now, the chick, the Tamelia, and she were saying that you were calling all the shots.
She was pissed off at me.
Yeah.
She was pissed off at me because she was in love with Steve and Steve was in love with me.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And she was angry. And in the first statement, the man asked her, was I caddy? When we had a pre-trial, when I had Charles Campbell, he asked her, was I caddy towards her? She said no. He said, did I act mad towards her? She said no. But your second statement, she said that I pushed her, I robbed her, I did this, I did that. I said killed him. How can you say I said killed him? But then she said she never saw me say it. She said she heard a female voice say it. Really?
Yeah.
That female voice was hers.
Yeah, that's what
It wasn't mine.
Yeah, I read that she didn't actually
I was nowhere around. And why, if she heard me say killed him, why Craig LaReese didn't hear it? While people were getting shot when he jumped up off that floor. When he saw his friend get shot, he jumped up off that floor and started fighting.
Most definitely. So yeah, that I read that it was a young teenager or something of that nature. He was young, 16 years old.
Yes.
And
he was like 17.
Okay.
But the bottom line is he was a big boy and he fought for his life and he alive to this day. And there was one more lady there that Craig saw as well, because on my way out I saw a basehead lady, a crackhead lady, a short black lady, light brown with glasses and a V on her coat. He explained the same thing in court because the judge said, what is a basehead? And they explained it to him. The basehead lady, I don't know how she got out. I don't know if she went out a window, but she was there when I left, and she wasn't there when the people died. So I don't know where this lady is. If she alive today, I wish she'd step up and tell these people that I left.
Most definitely, because someone was hiding. Someone was hiding on the roof. It was one of the young ladies that were hiding on the roof.
That was Tamelia. Tamelia say that's where she went. She said that because listen, if they was going to kill you or they felt like you was a threat to them, why would they let you out your sight? Nobody else got out of their sight. She was out of their sight because she was helping. And when she went upstairs to allegedly look for something, she went out the window and she laid on the roof. I'm the one that told her to go hide. Because I told her it was going to go down because he told me. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't even be alive.